Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie beaming. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing. I guess I define winning.
Howdy there, partner.
What do you say we just dick around for the first part?
No.
All right. I just wanted to have some fun.
Or start
I'm
with
feeling
NFL.
very delicate right now.
So basketball,
Yeah, we can go back. Yeah.
that
Words.
that
Words in
that
English, things that I
that's
don't understand
sport.
for 100.
Okay. So post All-Star break, we're getting things rolling in the NBA. Couple notable games from Thursday to current. This is Saturday. Let's take a look here. The Mavs played the Suns. Are you familiar with the bad blood between the two?
No, I didn't think that word existed within NBA. I didn't know bad blood was a thing. Thought it
Yeah,
was all
so
sunshine, rainbows, and cuddles.
so if I remember correctly, it was the conference semifinals 2 years ago, game
Mhm.
7. The Mavs beat the Suns by like 40 in game 7,
Mhm.
and they were up by like 50 at halftime.
Yeah, spanked him.
Real bad.
Yeah.
And it kind of like there's always been kind of like this tension between Booker and Doncic, and that just like solidified it. And then from then on, like they're it's very much like a beef that's on court, but it's very real. Like off court, they're kosher, but like on court, once they step between the white lines, they hate each other.
I feel like if there's a game to blow a team out by 40, it's game 7 in the playoffs. No?
Usually that's when you want to see the closest game. That's usually like the best game because tensions are high and everything. And then they just came out and just couldn't get a
Yeah,
bucket.
but
And the
like,
Mavs were just,
so I'm speaking from a football background, and there's certain times where you don't run up the score, but if you're in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, you run up the flipping score. So
oh no, like it is like, yes, from a team perspective and like a trying to win perspective, absolutely game 7 is. From a viewer perspective, it sucks because it's game 7 is literally like game 7 is two of the best words in sports.
so
So
it's a viewer filled rivalry
no, it's
because
very.
I'm not understanding like what is fueling this rivalry. Like it's game 7. Like yeah, you're gonna make
Bro,
sure
if you
that this
get blown
team.
out by 40, you're gonna be pissed. And
Yeah, but
then,
you can't be mad at them. Like they are making sure that they can win to continue in the playoffs.
well, duh, obviously, but that's where it comes from. Like you're embarrassed that you got blown out by 40. And so ever since
So
then,
it's
it's
just
been,
so in the NBA, just being competitive. All right, that's what we're describing this rivalry is that they're competitive. They're competing. This guy got me
yeah,
last year. Now every time we play, we go hard.
yeah,
But
but
there's no
it's,
like disrespect. Like in the
I
NFL, like
mean,
if there's a rivalry, there's tons of disrespect.
sure. I mean, there was a lot of like bad mouthing and like garbage talking and like on the
Oh
court, there
no.
was. Well, yeah, but it's the same thing in
Oh
the NFL.
no.
You just don't like the NBA. That's it. Like it's the same thing in the NFL. It's the same thing as Debo talking during the week and then getting beat or not having more than 2 catches. So
Yeah, but
it's
that's
like,
just like competition in the NFL. Like you said, it's an every week thing.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like but it's elevated when it's the playoffs. It's like Patrick Mahomes destroying Josh Allen and then Josh Allen coming back the next year and destroying Patrick Mahomes. That's a rivalry, is it not?
Yeah, it is a rivalry, but it's not
Yeah, there you
like
go.
I was thinking you said did you say bad blood? I thought you said like
Yeah,
yeah, like I don't see the Bills versus the Chiefs as like a bad blood rivalry. Like I
maybe
just think
not
that
it, but it's bad blood because it's been
I'm
because
thinking Michigan, Ohio State when you say a bad blood rivalry. Like I'm that's what I'm thinking of. I'm
it's
thinking
still in
of
its infancy. It's still in its infancy. And when we're talking about the NBA, it's hard to get rivalry because there's so much fluidity in player movement. So
yeah, that's true.
it's hard to keep it like if you get 3 years of like rivalry, that's like a bad blood rivalry now in the NBA because there's so much player movement. So take it or leave it. Let's move.
Let's
Let's
call
talk
the
about the game.
let's call to change that. Let's call to get people to stick around and start to hate each other more.
Yeah, we have that power. So going to the game, which is what's important here, there's a couple different storylines. There's obviously the Mavs versus the Suns as a whole storyline dating back to that game 7. There's also the storyline here of Durant versus Kyrie in this game, Booker versus Doncic, and Luka showed up. He had 41, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds. Kyrie had 29 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds. Book had 35 for the Suns, and Durant had 23 for the Suns. Bradley Beal was out as per usual in this game, which is just he's been in and out of the lineup all year, has barely played. But nonetheless, it was still a pretty decent game. End result 123 Mavs, 113 Suns. Moving on from that one, I'm just going to touch on scores. Well, actually, no, this one I want to dig into a little bit here. We got a top end Western Conference matchup, Clippers versus Thunder. End result was 129 Thunder, 107 Clippers. And everyone right now looks at the Clippers as, even though they aren't the 1 seed, as the best team in the West, the team that's most likely to win the West. I watched this game and it was fun from start to finish. The Clippers are like last 6 minutes of the game, they are just it's incredible how much of just a well-oiled machine they are. They just get whatever they want. They get every shot they want. OKC ended up pulling it out.
We're talking about oiled up machines getting whatever they want and pulling things out.
In the end, Shea is he's an MVP candidate, and there's some talk the MVP and to give it to in OKC. That's all I really have
Who
to
else
say about
is in
this
the
game.
MVP race?
Embiid is out now because he got hurt, so it's pretty much Jokic. Donovan Mitchell's kind of in the conversation. Shea's in the conversation. Kawhi is arguably in the conversation. But I would bet if I had to put money on it, I'd put my money on Jokic.
You were about to say if I was a betting man, but you are a betting man. So
exactly.
you can't say that anymore.
Exactly. Outside of that, let's keep moving here. The next day, Friday, the Thunder dropped 147 on the Wizards' forehead. Bucks versus Timberwolves. I watched this game. This was a fun game, start to finish. Anthony Edwards is a dog. The Timberwolves are super interesting. It's very weird to see them competing at such a high level after years of just poverty and turmoil as a franchise. So it's really odd to see them competing with some of the best teams. They took it down to the wire, a 5-point game with the Bucks, 112-107, which was just fun to see. It was a good game to watch. And Brook Lopez got off to a really hot start in this game. He went 4 for 10 for 3 during the game. All 4 of those threes came in the first quarter. So got off to a really hot start, but didn't really do anything with it down the stretch. But fun game overall to watch. Saturday, today.
Some would say he prematurely shot the majority of his load points. Majority of his, I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then tonight, I watched the Celtics Knicks game, and this one was at one point was just a ridiculous blowout. At one point, the Celtics were up by 20. Granted, the Celtics were missing, or the Knicks were missing some guys, so you have to take that kind of into consideration here. But the Celtics they have every answer for every problem, and they just they're too good. Tatum only had 19 tonight, and they still won by 14. So like the Celtics to me are runaway Eastern Conference winners. It's just a question of who's going to come out of the West to me.
Is this a team sport? Because I keep hearing that like, oh, this guy dropped 40, this guy dropped 70. I thought basketball was more of a team sport, but the more I listen to the stats, it's more like two guys doing most of the carrying.
It's a team sport, but players are more impactful because there's only 5 on the court and you're having to play both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
So
So
that's the biggest difference, is that you're playing both sides of the ball.
but it would be like compared to football, like is like does who's more impactful, like a really good guy in basketball or a really good guy in football? Who's more impactful in the sports?
Mm. Your star in basketball for
In
sure.
basketball is more impactful.
For sure.
Okay.
Because what we always talk about with quarterbacks is he doesn't get to play defense too, right?
Yeah.
But in basketball, you do.
I
You
mean,
are your
Kansas City tried. They tried this year. They tried to get Patrick in the safety slot, but they couldn't get it going.
So yeah, so there's our little recap there. There's not much movement in terms of the standings, so we don't really have to go through that. We can go through the top 6 in each, though, just real quick. Boston's still number 1 in the East, Cleveland 2, Milwaukee 3, Knicks 4, Sixers 5, Orlando 6. Big surprise there. A little bit of movement. In the West, Minnesota 1, OKC 2, Clippers 3, Denver 4, New Orleans 5, Dallas 6. Still continuing to keep a watch on the Lakers and Golden State, just keeping themselves in the play-in right now at 9 and 10. Now there's our basketball recap. Basketball is hard to talk about in long form when you don't have someone else that watches the games other than just like giving
Okay.
recaps.
All right, buddy.
I'm not roasting you.
I'll start watching
I'm not
some of the
roasting you.
games.
I'm not roasting you. I'm just saying it's hard to talk about it in long form, especially during the regular season, because with
Yeah,
football,
it's hard to talk about the economic state of this world when you're across the screen
no.
from an idiot, you
Well,
know?
no, here's what I mean. Because in football, each game matters so much more because there's not as many, right?
Yeah.
So the standings move with one game. In the
Mhm.
NBA, 2 games go by, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. And if someone else isn't watching the games where you can like analyze the game itself, it's more so just like a recap every week. So I'm not throwing shade. It's just I'm throwing shade at the NBA.
Yeah, the
Go
Duke
ahead.
situation. It was like Fort West or something beat Duke, and then it's what is it called again?
Storm the court.
Yeah, they stormed the court, hit I guess their star player is what believe to be their star player. Don't know his name. And then now, according to the coach, not according to a hospital, he now has a sprained knee. And he went on an interview, the post game interview, and he was throwing shade, and he was like, "When are we gonna stop? When are we gonna ban court storming?" Right. So, what do you feel like? Because we have the Caitlin. What's her name?
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, we have Caitlin Clark having an assassin from the government get sent out to try and snipe her, and then obviously another assassin from the government trying to take down this man as well. What do you think about court storming? Should it be banned? Is it a liability? Do they need to rafter it off, kind of like the NFL, to where like now
Yeah.
you're not courtside?
I don't know. It's hard because college is such a different animal than the NBA. It's just like a different game and it's so much more passionate and the fans are so much more involved because it's a bunch of drunk 20-year-olds.
Yeah, off Xanax, Molly, Percocet,
Right.
everything
So
Future talks about.
there's it's a completely different atmosphere at a college game. And before NIL was a thing, I would have said leave it because that is what college basketball is the fan impact and the fan environment that college basketball brings. Now that money is involved, though, that's where this now becomes a little bit hard to make the decision because everything about college sports is supposed to be the school pride and all that jazz, right?
Mm.
But now we're talking about athletes that are making millions. And I would be pissed too, not only as the coach, because I'm in the Duke situation, I'm a new coach. It's my first or second year. I can't remember what year he's in. I'm trying to win games. We're not very good right now. My best player who's supposed to be making money is now hurt, which is going to impact us and it's going to hurt us trying to get to NCAA tournament. I don't even know if they're in the running to make it right now, to be even in the selection Sunday. And also, if I'm the player, I'm pissed because I'm trying to make millions and I'm also trying to do the one and done and get to the NBA. So it's not like, it doesn't sound like it's a career ending injury,
Yeah.
but it's only a matter of time until something like that is. Right. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like my natural instinct is to say, leave it, because that is what college basketball is. But then the corporate business side of me says, get it out, like, stop. So I'm torn. I don't know.
For me, I don't see the point of having it. I don't think it takes anything away from the game. I don't think anybody would be too upset for it because, like you said, they're a bunch of drunk college kids.
Yeah.
It's them attending the games. Do you think they have the same amount of knowledge about basketball that I do? They know nothing about basketball. They know what a 3-point is, and when somebody gets postered, they go crazy. That's all they know. It's really just an excuse for them to get drunk. So then
Yeah.
having them storm the court, they're all a bunch of drunk idiots, and they hit guys who are potentially trying to make a living off this later down the line in NIL or the NBA. I mean, I'm fine with taking it out. I
Yeah.
think it's just something for the fans to feel like they're involved, which the entire week, all these frat boys have been getting drunk, like the
Yeah.
whole week they've done nothing for this team. They're not at practice, they're not doing all this, but then they get to go storm the court and you feel like they've done something and they're a part of the team. I don't like it because then it also adds another element to home versus away, right? You go to a certain place, like we talk about old school basketball, right? When NBA teams were fighting the crowds, right?
Yeah.
You, you're
Well,
if this becomes more popular, I guarantee you we'll see a very certain schools have extremely hostile environments. And it
no,
would
but here's the thing. If it was gonna be, my rebuttal to that argument is, number one, it's not gonna become more popular because this has been a thing since the inception of college basketball. Number one. Number
yeah.
two, this isn't like an every week thing. I could understand if this was like every week something like this happened and like someone was getting hurt, but this isn't every week. This is a very rare occurrence because you have to have something incredible happen, and the incredible outside of March Madness doesn't happen in college sports.
Yeah, I understand, but the significance of it is just like this is just a
Yeah.
regular game. This is a
Yeah.
regular game, and that now a guy has to it even if it's not like a serious injury, now he has to go through all these steps and he's going to be off his game for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Over just a regular game to where you guys upset Duke, right? Like it doesn't mean that your team now gets to go into the March Madness tournament, right? Or like it's not a playoff game or anything.
I
So
mean, let's be honest though. Like, who cares? It's college sports.
I don't think there's a way to stop him.
I
Like,
don't either. And at the end of the day, I don't know how you like enforce that, really. Like,
the only fix is to like have them be more conscious of like what they're doing when they storm the
yeah, but
court.
that's not
But
gonna
yeah,
happen.
because they're all
Right.
drunk. They're all
Right.
drunk
And
off of
you can't, and like my thing of like, okay, ban it, but then so what, you're gonna put 12 security guards around the
yeah, it's
perimeter with tasers? Like, you don't think a drunk guy can run through a taser? Like, come on. Like, and on top of that, there's like 500 kids storming the court. You think 12 guys are gonna keep that down? Like, it's not, I don't think it's feasible.
yeah. So what do you think? Do you think there should be a mandatory class once a week, self-defense for all college athletes? Just
No,
practice
I think
throwing a
it,
knee.
if anything, there should just be a protocol towards the end of an exciting game where you have your security team get really close to they're already close to the bench. So then when the court storming happens, instead of trying to stop it, you essentially create a barrier around your players.
I like that.
That makes the most sense to me, because then you also have to think about trampling and all that kind of stuff too.
It's crazy. I'm like, they're all a bunch of drunk idiots. They're all older than me. They're all older than both of us. Everybody who was at that game, like 90% of them are like a year or two older than us. Yeah, they're all a bunch of drunk idiots.